So, I was just in the bathroom and I was, you know, finding that one of my toes was pushing on the other in an uncomfortable way. It had a toenail that was sticking out and poking the toe next to it, and it was feeling irritating. So I tried trimming the toenail, I tried putting some moisturizer on the area, to smooth things up, and it seems to be a little better. But as I was doing all of this, a thought hit me in that the situation with my toes is very much like the situation I have with people, in that, the toes are cramped in together, they can't get away from each other really, and because they're squashed together all the time, they've been forced into these strange shapes. I was even feeling one of the toes, and I could feel a sort of depression in the side of the toe from where the toe next to it would fit in with it like this. And it got me thinking, if my toes had minds of their own, like people, then they would obviously be annoyed by being under this pressure all the time, and they would obviously want to be free so that they could be their own shape and grow out to the form they would have had they not been squashed in with all these other toes. But then it also occurred to me, how would I ever free my toes? I guess I could wedge objects between the toes to separate them out. But those objects in of themselves would create their own problems. It would, cause the bones in my feet to probably spread out in a painful and unhelpful sort of way that might interfere with my ability to walk. Or how else would I free my toes? Cut them off. But then they're dead. Either way, no matter what you do, the toes can't win in a sense. They're either crushed in together, or they're completely dead or completely dysfunctional. And, it occurred to me that in a sense, people are like that. We sometimes feel pressure from one another, but that's because we are shaping each other. And, we sometimes feel a bit poked or hard pressed by each other, but that's still probably better than the alternative of either being cut off and dead, or, not being able to function at all. And, you know, it made me sort of realize that maybe this, rather than feeling distressed at the pressure that I feel from other people, maybe I should understand that pressure as part of God's plan for human life and for my life, and to not argue with it so much as I normally would do. And, that isn't to say that I'm going to, magically find that I never have problems with people again. It'll probably be less than a week before I'm making another video like this about me having problems with people. But it has occurred to me that very often, I do this thing to myself where I expect myself to be 100% fine all the time, and I expect myself to bear up under the pressure just fine without being shaped, which is probably not a reasonable thing to expect. It's probably much more natural to expect to be shaped, and to expect to be altered by the people around me to some degree. Not necessarily in negative ways, but perhaps in ways that can mean togetherness.